This video contains discussions of sexual violence that may be distressing or triggering for some viewers. Please proceed with caution. In this short video, we will discuss how Israel and the IDF weaponize sexual violence against Palestinian women, men, and children. The following is a harrowing testimony presented at the UN Commission of Inquiry, detailing the sexual violence perpetrated by Israeli forces against Palestinian women.
So this woman says she was taken to Sidi Timan and she was nude searched over and over again and filmed, and then she was raped twice by Israeli male soldiers, 2 of them at a time, while videotaping her. We have also one testimony of a woman who was also taken. This is in addition to the threats of rape and the nude searches all the time with the intention to humiliate and to degrade these women. She says she was also raped by an inspection device by a female soldier more than once. They inserted the inspection device in her rectum. We have also one testimony of a woman saying that she was strip searched and they would beat her on her behind and they would humiliate her in front of each other. This is for detention centers. This is the most, the most outrageous testimonies, but we have lesser details of humiliation and sexual violence over and over again, but this is the most severe ones. Also, when it comes to checkpoints, like I said, it's where the sexual violence happens and it goes unreported. So we have a testimony of a teenage girl who was made to undress a man because he refused to undress. They made her undress him even though she's not related to him. She doesn't know who that man is. And while being searched and touched and molested on their breasts and on their genitals as well. Most of the women also who were taken from Gaza, West Bank and Jerusalem said they were beaten on their genitals, which has made us to conclude that there must have been a directive that's been given to the Israeli army to treat women in such manner, because in Jerusalem you're treated by completely different law enforcement than in Gaza or in the West Bank. But all these women said they were beaten on their genitals.
This is not the only testimony that documents sexual violence committed by the IDF. Countless reports from international human rights organizations worldwide provide further documentation of numerous such incidents. Palestinian activists have been speaking out about this for years, yet the global media continues to ignore their voices.
So we're talking about mass sexual assaults happening. We're talking about women being braver now that they see that it's happening to everyone. See, one of the things also that women suffer is they have really low expectations from Israeli soldiers. So when they invade their homes, for example, one of the women told me that the female soldier was so nice to me. She let me fully undressed with the door closed. So this is the kind of expectations. They expect so much humiliation, so much violence. So when it's something like that, they don't talk about it. One woman tried to close the door when she was being fully undressed by a female soldier. She tried to close the door so she didn't want to be exposed to the male soldiers, to the family members. She hit her in an eye with a rifle and she lost her left eye. So women are not even aware of how bad it is because they expect so much violence, they expect killing, they expect to be shot. So when it's something like that, it goes unreported. All of the 20 women detainees we have interviewed said that they were fully strip searched multiple times a day in front of each other, beaten on their genitals. We have 2 women who have came forward and said that they were raped using objects by female soldiers. One of them in Gaza and one of them in Hebron as well. Rape has always been used in Israeli prisons, but the amount of women that were taken this time makes it really hard for all of them to stay silent.
What's even more devastating is that children were not spared.
Even children will not be aware of the severity of things, so they would talk about it as I was undressed. I was fully undressed, for example, and they wouldn't know how bad that is to them or the definitions of sexual violence. So you would have women saying that they inserted an object inside of me, but she wouldn't identify it as rape because lack of awareness on this matter. So you can imagine what children go through.
Josh Paul, a former U.S. State Department director, uncovered another chilling account of child sexual abuse perpetrated by the Israeli regime.
A charity called Defense of Children International Palestine drew our attention at the State Department to the sexual assault, actually the rape of a 13-year-old boy that occurred in an Israeli prison in the Moskabia in Jerusalem. We examined these allegations. We believed they were credible. We put them to the government of Israel. And you know what happened the next day? The IDF went into the DCIP offices and removed all their computers and declared them a terrorist entity.
Rape and sexual violence is not limited to women and children. The rape of Palestinian men has been normalized and even celebrated in Israel. Recently, a video surfaced in which Palestinian male hostages were seen being raped by male IDF soldiers, which sparked global outrage. Although the perpetrators were initially arrested in response to global outrage, most were later released after widespread protests in Israel, where the public rallied in what became known as the Right to Rape protest, opposing the arrest of the rapists. This Israeli crowd is effectively protesting for the right to rape. Even Israeli politicians and journalists defended the IDF's right to commit sexual violence against Palestinians. Politicians and journalists have also defended their actions.
בגדול, עוד פעם, זה מעניין לי את העכוז מה עשו לאיש לחמאס הזה. אני כל הזמן זוכר, קודם כל הדבר היחיד שמבחינתי הוא בעיה פה, זה שזו לא איזושהי מדיניות מוסדרת של המדינה להתעלל בצעירים. כי בגדול, זה גם קודם כל מגיע להם, וזה אחלה נקם. ודבר שני, אולי זה גם ישמש אותם.
This journalist has since called his comments a mistake, after Israel's Channel 12 aired a leaked video of the alleged assault. Far-right politician Bezalel Smotrich said, "Those who leaked the video should be prosecuted, and not the soldiers." National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir says, "Any action is permissible if it is done for the sake of national security." Supporters of the soldiers have also protested at Israel's High Court against a petition to close down the base. An Israeli rabbi was even seen offering blessings to the rapists.
אין לנו זכות לעשות ככה. נכון, הרב צודק. מותר לנו להגן על עמנו ועל כבודנו.
Here is another testimony presented at the United Nations from a Palestinian who was subjected to sexual violence by the IDF.
أحضر عصاي طويلة وبدأ بالضرب على جسمنا وعلى راسنا وعلى أجرينا وبدأ بالقفز على ظهري حتى يتسبب إلي بعاهة مستديمة من خلال كسر ظهري. فتوقف شوي ما شفت بعدها إلا إشي على راسي وعلى جسمي والمستوطنين بضحكوا فمن الرائحة والسخونة اللي بسقط على جسمي استدركت إنه ببول علينا. ما نبيته عن ظهري استشاط غضب بزيادة استمر في الضرب تقريبا بين 5 ل 10 دقائق. اعتقد هو مع صراخي اعتقد اني انا يعني حالتي الجسدية ضعفت. حاول مرة أخرى فتوقف على ظهري وحاول مرة أخرى استخدام العصاي لا إدخالها في مؤخرتي.
While sexual violence has escalated since October 7th, it has been used as a weapon of war by Israel against Palestinians for many decades.
Even before October 7th, there was a case of a Palestinian family in Hebron. Women of that family were imposed to strip their clothes in front of their children under the threat of policing dogs, and they were imposed to walk in the hallways of their house fully naked. At the military checkpoints, of course, where women have to commute to their work or to their schools or their universities every day, they are subject to sexual harassment and body search. We realize that those girls, for example, during their puberty, they tend to stop going to school, especially during their monthly period, simply because at the checkpoints they will be bodily searched by male soldiers.
In fact, the Tintera documentary reveals veteran IDF soldiers who served during the late 1940s amidst the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, boasting about acts of rape and murder.
השתוללו בטנטורה, זה היה משהו נורא. טנטורה היה כפר עשיר, בתים יפים, גרים כמו אירופאים, אתה יודע, וגם אנשים היו לבושות ויפה, וזה באמת היה כפר... אחד אנס שם איזה ילדה בת 16, משהו כזה, אתה מבין? אבל זה מכוער מאוד, היה לנו בחור אחד, הוא נפטר, הוא היה פרא אדם, הוא לקח פשוט מאוד, ורצח אותם בתוך המכלאות. בתוך המכלאות, הם היו במכלאות, אתה יודע, חוטי ברזל כאלה, עגולים כאלה, אספו כל הגברים. הם יושבים שם, כולם, על הרצפה, ובא מישהו ולוקח תת מקלע ומתחיל זה, מחליף מחסנית, מה אתה חושב זה? אבל אנחנו לא היינו כאלה. הוא היה יוצא דופן, הבחור הזה, כן, מה שהוא עשה. והשתיקו את הדבר הזה, והיו חבר'ה שלקחו את הלוויורים, ורדפו אחרי חבר'ה ושרפו אותם. זה היה משהו זוועתי, וזה אסור לספר, אני לא אדבר על זה, כי זה יכול להיות סקנדל שלם מהעניין הזה. אני לא רוצה לדבר על זה, וזהו.
3-4 חודשים הראשונים הייתי רוצח.
מה זה אומר?
אני לא לקחתי שבויים. בזמן קרב, אם מישהו הרים ידיים, משהו כזה, לא לקחתי שבויים. זה זעזע אותי עד כדי כך, לא יכלתי לעבור לסדר היום. אם היה עומדת כיתה של זה עם ידיים למעלה, אז באותו יום הייתי רואה אותי, הייתי קוצר את כולם, עד כדי כך.
כמה אתה חושב אנשים הרגת ככה?
לא ספרתי. אני לא יכול לדעת בחיי. היה לי מקלע עם 250 כדורים. תראה, יריתי, נלחמתי כולם. אני לא יכול לספור. המלחמה זה מלחמה.
ודאי, הרגנו בהם, בלי נקיפת מצפון.
הרגת, אז עשית דבר טוב. הייתי מוכן להרוג.
אני אספר לה שאני הייתי רוצח.
עד היום נוציא את האקדח, אתה הרג את כולם.
יאללה, רפו אותם כמו פרות,
הוא תפס אישה, חתיכה צעירה, נכנס לבית אחד, הכין חדר מיטות, עם מיטל, ברטל זיין אותה.
הילדה חזרה, זה סמרטוטיה.
The world must confront the truth about Zionism and its history of sexual violence against Palestinians. Since the occupation began in the 1940s, may Allah bring a swift end to the Zionist entity and free the Palestinians from the river to the sea.